Senator Elizabeth Warren. Is considered so terrific, so formidable, because she tells it like it is. I am very grateful for that introduction, but more importantly, I want to thank her for fighting every single day for families like hers, families like yours, and millions of hard-working Americans who deserve to have more folks on their side. You know, Elizabeth and I came of age around the same time, and when we were coming up, as you heard her talking about her parents, her brothers, we believed in the American dream. It wasn't always going to be easy. My dad was a small businessman. It was hard work. He got up every single day, went off to work, and worked hard, and lots of times my mother and my brothers and I would be there to help. He printed drapery fabrics in a long warehouse with a long table. It was dark and not very pleasant, but it was decent, honest work. And he believed, and he taught me, that's what you do in America. That's the basic bargain. You work hard, you do your part, you will get ahead and stay ahead. And we need to make sure that basic bargain is alive and well in 2016. Elizabeth is leading the fight to liberate millions of Americans from the burden of student debt and to make sure Washington never again profits off of our students. She and I agree the federal government should not be making money off of sending our young people to college to get an education. Works harder to make sure Wall Street never wrecks Main Street again. She's come up with a lot of great ideas, but here's one that has already made a big difference. It's called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's been around a few years under the leadership of a great leader from Ohio, Richard Cordray, who is leading the charge. It has already, think about this, it's only been around a few years, but it has already returned over $10.8 billion to 25 million Americans who have been hurt by illegal financial practices. Now that is what standing up and fighting to right economic wrongs looks like. And I must say, I do just love to see how she gets under Donald Trump's skin. Donald Trump proves every day he's not in it for the American people. He's in it only for himself. And Elizabeth reminds us of that every chance she gets because it is really important that voters here in Ohio and across America understand this. She exposes him for what he is. Temperamentally unfit and totally unqualified to be the president. Now, some of of the best TV since Elizabeth came to the Senate is actually on C-SPAN. So whenever you see her pressing a bank executive or a regulator for answers, refusing to let them off the hook, remember she is speaking for every single American who is frustrated and fed up. She is speaking for all of us, and we thank her for that. I'm thrilled that Elizabeth could be here with me in this glorious, beautiful building that has been rehabbed and put to new use as a museum, because we want to make the point together that we must have an economy that works for everyone again, not just those at the top, not just the rich or the well-connected, everyone. Now, one might ask, well, yes, that is what we believe. It sounds simple, doesn't it? Honestly, I think it is. It shouldn't be complicated, but there are too many politicians and corporations that don't agree. They don't even seem to get it. But you do, and we do. And for the past, now more than a year, I have been traveling across our country, meeting people who have told me their wages haven't budged, even though they see executives who give themselves big bonuses. And you ask yourself, well, wait a minute. Why do the richest Americans and the biggest corporations get away with manipulating the tax code so they pay lower rates than you do? That's a good question. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make moral sense, economic sense, historic sense. And you know what else doesn't make sense? When leaders in Congress give more tax breaks to hedge fund millionaires instead of making investments in manufacturing, clean energy, and education that will actually create more good jobs. It doesn't make sense when corporations stash their profits overseas or send them to influential shareholders instead of making long-term investments in raising wages, training, and research. Or when governors and legislatures use every trick in the book to weaken unions and make it harder for Americans to organize themselves for better wages and benefits. You've heard of right-to-work laws. Well, they're wrong for workers and they're wrong for America. None of this is right, my friends. But this election is a chance for us to make it right.